Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back. Oh, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. I'm super excited because it seems that Chelsea have made their first signing. And so I had to have a Raheem Sterling special. And I'm joined by MCFC Daps from the Never a Foul YouTube channel. Met through Matisse. Matisse, big contributor to my channel. He's on all of the time, but super lovely to meet you. And thanks so much for joining.
No, thanks for having me. Yes, I had to message Matisse earlier and thank him. Good guy, hardworking guy, and knows his stuff as well. May I add? So
yeah, he's always streaming and recording. I'm like, Matisse,
yeah,
how do you
hardworking
do
guy, man.
it? I'm trying to get off to one video a day and it's hard. So but obviously, guys, the big news that everybody is talking about: Raheem Sterling to Chelsea. Ben Jacobs, who has come on the channel as well and is kind of like become this transfer guru within the Chelsea community, has said that it's confirmed, basically, and that the clubs are finalizing the last details. They should have done that yesterday. And from my perspective, this is a done deal. 45 million pounds, it seems, plus add-ons, and I think his salary was rumored around 300,000 a week. Not sure if that has been confirmed, but I wanted to get your opinion on all things Raheem Sterling, because I think a couple, or not a couple, but I think the fan base is kind of divided about this.
Who City's? Or
Chelsea.
Chelsea's? I think both are.
Yeah. So, how do you feel about losing Raheem Sterling and to a Premier League rival as well?
Two things there straight away. Right. So the first thing is on losing Raheem Sterling, and it's very. I've watched a few streams. I've done a few streams myself, and it's very hard to speak on Raheem Sterling without people thinking you're being disrespectful to him, right? And let me be very clear, and I'll start off by saying this. Without Raheem Sterling's contribution over the Pep era, you can take a few of Manchester City's Premier Leagues away, right? And it's undeniable. He's in the top 10 goal scorers of all time at Manchester City. I don't know exactly, but he is the highest goal scoring player at Manchester City under Pep Guardiola. I believe he's also in the top 3, possibly ever under Pep Guardiola.
Yeah, I think I saw that stat that it was like Messi, Aguero, and Sterling, something like that.
Yeah, I don't know who the second is. Messi, someone, and Sterling.
Yeah.
So there should never, ever be any disrespect from any Manchester City player towards Raheem Sterling for everything he's done for our club. Do we have our frustrations with Raheem Sterling? Yes, but we had our frustrations with Raheem Sterling 6 years ago. If you accept them then, you accept them now. You put Raheem Sterling through on goal, one-on-one, he will either try and take the keeper on, shoot or pass, and fail to do all three. However, that's not what he's known for. So when people go, oh, he likes to run onto a ball, not really. That isn't his style of play. That's very basic. Yes, he's fast, so that's what you think you're going to get with Raheem Sterling. That isn't what you're going to get with him. So it's a really hard one from our point of view, because I do think if he stayed, and we can move on to this in a bit, if he stayed and played alongside Erling Haaland, then you could see the Raheem Sterling of 2-3 years ago again, because that is the best Raheem Sterling. But at the same time, Pep clearly hasn't got plans of doing that. So, it's one of these things where this summer we seem to be, if we can get some money with, again, anyone that says that, oh, City have been disrespectful, we should have given him a new contract. We've been trying for 2 years. Okay. This isn't that we don't want to, it's that we don't want to pay him what he wants. Right. And this is the thing. Now, before I get on to something else, you asked about selling to another Premier League club. With Gabriel Jesus going to Arsenal, no issue with that, right? With Raheem Sterling going to Chelsea, let's hold on the Premier League side of it. We might come up against Chelsea again in the Champions League. Chelsea beat us in the final of the Champions League. I'm a strong believer, as my whole fan base should be, that in any competition, in particular the Champions League, having history of winning it is a big deal. It's been proven against us. That would be the one concern with me, that we've just given a team that we could face in the Champions League a player that we know can pop up in important games. Now, and if you've got any questions or anything, otherwise I'll just keep going for a minute. For me, from the start of this rumour popping up, I said there are three people in this: Manchester City, Raheem Sterling, and Chelsea. It pretty much makes sense to Manchester City if we can get 45 million plus add-ons for a player that Pep doesn't feel there's a future with at the club. I get it. I'd never saw you guys meeting our price an issue. I saw the hurdle being Raheem Sterling, because he's on 300 grand a week at the moment. I believe that his place in the England squad for the World Cup is cemented anyway. And if he waits a year, he could potentially get more money. Playing alongside Haaland, if he got back to the numbers he was getting when he was alongside Aguero, he could go for a higher wage, a higher signing on fee. And that was I was thinking, I don't really get unless Chelsea pay him. And that's why I'm really keen to see what they're paying him. If it is 300 a week, then I feel that Tommy Tuchel has sold him a project that he likes.
I think it is 300 a week, because that would make him Chelsea's top earner as well, with Lukaku out and Inter paying his wages. I think behind, I don't know, N'Golo Kante is kind of like nobody really knows, because I think he donates a big part of his salary. Right. But then I think the next highest earner is like Timo Werner on 270. So
wow, is that what he's on? Damn.
Yeah, he's on a lot of money.
But with this, someone did say something to me earlier that was quite true. The one thing that they've got with, I think if City paid him what he wanted, he would have stayed and kind of said, you're still going to get X number of games. The good thing with Chelsea is they're not Arsenal. They have got Champions League football. They have won the Champions League twice. And although I do feel you're going through a bit of a turbulent time, I mean, it's no one's fault. What happened last season was unprecedented, and for that I've been saying Tuchel gets a complete pass on last season in my eyes, because the way he handled it was sensational as well, with pure class. But they will rebuild and they will come back. So it's kind of like, if you're going to move away from the team that are challenging for the league every single season, you are going to a team that's still going to get you. I mean, I don't know your exact history in the Champions League, but you get to the latter stages pretty much every season. So now, the bit I'm not sure on is what it means to you guys. And that's what I struggle to understand, how they're going to play him.
Yeah, well, I think that this is something that's super interesting. I have like this feeling that we're going to switch to a back four this year. I don't know what. I just think that with the targets that I've seen in the media and signing Sterling, I think that it makes sense. And combine that with the fact that we're losing like all of our defenders in one season, essentially. Yeah. So I don't think that we really have the squad depth to play in a back five, nor do I think it's really necessary. I think that to have it in your back pocket, if you want to play a back five against, a team that's going to attack, like a City, like a Liverpool. But I don't think you need to play in a back five against the teams that are going to sit back, like half of the teams in the Premier League, that they're just going to sit back and you're going to have to try to break them down. And I think
you're spot on. I think you're spot on with that. I've always wondered with Chelsea, where despite all the different managers that come in and all the tools that they have, the sensational players that you've got, it hasn't always been a back three, but the style of football hasn't always been, or has rarely been, that kind of attacking. And I've never really understood it, because if it's different managers, why is it always that style? And I think with Tuchel, this is what I saw when you were getting new owners. I saw a lot of Chelsea fans I spoke with were saying they hope that this allows him to have the shackles off, to do what he wants and stamp his authority. Now, if you were to go with that, how does that influence where Sterling plays, though?
I honestly think that Sterling is going to play like on the left wing. But I think the big selling point with Sterling as well is that he's very versatile and he has played on the right hand side for City. He has played as a false
Absolutely.
nine. He has played
Yeah.
as a 10 as well, and that's something that Thomas Tuchel really values. But I think more than that, if I'm looking at Sterling as a player and what he brings to this Chelsea side, Chelsea really don't have somebody since Eden Hazard that can take a player on 1v1. Like maybe Christian Pulisic, but he hasn't been super consistent and you
Yeah.
can't really rely on him week in, week out to do that. I think that Sterling's going to do that. I think that Sterling has experience breaking down low block sides. A lot of Chelsea fans have said, well, Chelsea don't create as many chances as a Man City. But I think that Sterling is probably going to help Chelsea create those chances and maybe even drag players to him, create spaces elsewhere in the pitch. But I'd love to get your thoughts on that. I don't know if I should call it like a stigma or what, that
There are
Sterling
stigmas around Sterling.
struggle
There are.
in this Chelsea side.
Look, so there's a lot of stigmas around Raheem Sterling. The first one that I said, hold tight, Daniel. First one I said was about that he's a player that give him space to run into. That's not the best Sterling. Um, for me, the best Sterling is a player that. So if I was to list Sterling's qualities, I would say one, leader. He's a leader. He's
Mm-hmm.
gone very under the radar, but whenever he's been City captain, he's done a great job. He's definitely a leader to younger players as well, that younger players look up to. And I think that isn't spoken enough because he's not a shouter. But whenever he's been a captain for City, he's done a good job. He's a listener. He listens to coaches. He's learned so much under Pep, and he listens, he learns, and he puts it into practice. And I think that goes so underrated as well. His fitness as well is another one. Now, his ability to find pockets of space is unbelievable. That's where he scores most of his goals for City. It's when other players are making runs, when there's a number 9 that defenders are marking, he will drop back and he will find that little gap for a tap in. And that's how he scored so many goals for Manchester City. I did some research into it, and his numbers, his best seasons, and I always do it by goals per 90.
Mm-hmm.
His goals and assists per 90, his best 3 seasons were all when he was playing alongside a number 9. The last 2 seasons when he hasn't, it's almost half. And that is where I think, what are Chelsea going to do with him? Because if you get a number 9, I feel you get 300 grand a week for Raheem Sterling. If you don't get a number 9, I think you get 250 grand or 200 grand a week Sterling. And that's what I'm interested to see, who he's playing with.
It's going to be super interesting. And right now, I think that he's going to be playing with Kai Havertz, and I think Kai Havertz is going to be Chelsea's number 9. I think in the last season, he actually played his best as a number 9 as opposed to the wings. But we know that he can play elsewhere, but he hasn't been consistent enough. But he's shown like these glimpses of it. But
So,
he's not an out and out number 9, of course.
so when I pull that face, I'm not pulling that face at Kai Havertz as a number 9. I'm pulling that face at Raheem Sterling playing alongside a number 9. Raheem Sterling's best numbers are alongside. Sorry, when we say number 9, we mean a false 9, right?
Yeah,
Raheem
like
Sterling's best
maybe
numbers are playing alongside
like
a
an
gunman,
out.
a striker, a real
Yeah,
number 9. When he's playing alongside a De Bruyne or a Foden, or even when he was playing there, that's not when he does his numbers. And look, I'm not saying he's not a good player then. What I'm saying is, if you want 300 grand a week Sterling, you want to play him alongside an actual number 9. And that, I could be wrong. Tuchel could unleash something that we haven't seen before. But do you think you lot are going to buy a striker?
no, I don't think so. I think that I think that we're going to get Sterling, maybe another winger, either Rafinha, or I haven't really seen links for anybody else. If Rafinha falls through, I don't know if we're going to go for anybody else. And I think we're going to try to get like 2 or 3 defenders. I saw that we're in for De Ligt. Obviously, Kunde as well has been a target. Uh, Ake as well.
Apparently tonight, I just saw someone on a stream I was just on saying that apparently that's advanced. today
For
for
they
Ake. No, for
Oh, for
Ake. It
Ake, I didn't
surprises
see
me.
that. I did
It could have
I'm,
been,
like, pretty
might not
surprised
be
as
much of
well,
two.
and the thing that I saw about Ake is that he plays well, maybe you can speak more to this than I can because he didn't play so much for Chelsea, that he plays better in a back three on the left-hand side.
So he
Um,
plays for Holland.
yeah, and I think that maybe I don't know, maybe we're trying to replace that, Antonio Rudiger position. Something interesting that I saw was that Todd Bowley is trying to kind of come up with like a similar recruiting strategy to Liverpool, in that we're not going for like the I don't know, like the best player, but one that can really fit into the system. And somebody, I don't know, have you seen the movie Moneyball?
Yeah.
Somebody compared
Yeah.
it to that you kind of like buy two players that maybe they're not like the complete package yet, but if you put them together, then you can amplify all of their strengths and kind of limit all of their weaknesses. And that's what I've seen that he's trying to do. But I haven't seen any more news about Ake, and I'm kind of surprised about it. But
So am
um,
I. So am I.
yeah,
I
how do you
thought.
feel?
So on the Ake one, it's from a Man City point of view. I feel like all the business we've done this season is business that was planned. It's business that we've been trying to put in place for a while, and then I think with Sterling and Jesus, it was ones that we're ready for them to go as long as we get the money. If they don't, they can stay, but we're ready for them to go. The Ake one, I do not believe we're ready for, and I think that is why. So when I was hearing 40 million, I was thinking, don't make sense to me. Why would we want to, in this market right now where everyone's after defenders? I wouldn't want to. For me, it's the hardest position to fill because,
Yeah.
and right now with United after potentially a defender, you guys after defenders, Tottenham still after a defender. I wouldn't really want to delve in that market because the prices are inflated and there's not much Premier League experience, which I for centre backs really like. You're gonna have to take a risk. So for 40 million, it doesn't seem worth it. So I heard City was saying, we don't want to sell him, but he's our fourth choice. So if you're paying 55, 60, but I
It's
didn't
so much
think there.
money to me.
I
So
did not,
much.
and that's what I'm saying. For me, however, Ake has definitely developed this season. That sounds a lot of money for Nathan Ake, and it sounds like I don't think it would surprise me from Chelsea. I'm not going to lie. That look, you could put another 20 million and get Delit.
Yeah,
Probably
I think that
another.
that's who we're gonna go for. I really feel like we're gonna go for him. I saw today that we're kind of like amping up the interest in the talks as well. And Taboli was in Barcelona
Yeah,
today having lunch or dinner. I bet. Well, I
dinner.
don't know. It was
Well,
dinner.
me and Matisse were just talking on it, and I was saying just before we went live on the last stream, and I like it because I've got a real bee in my bonnet about Barcelona this summer. I went to Barcelona I've been to Barcelona 3 times. Every time I've gone, I've fallen in love with the city more.
Uh,
It's and I've fallen in love with how much the Catalan loves football. And so when their club started going into demise, I was like, it's a bit sad. I'm not going to lie. If it was Real Madrid, I wouldn't be that bothered. But with Barcelona, because I've got that love for them, but they keep reaching back and grabbing players off of us,
and
and
off.
some of them. But we keep bending over backwards, giving them on like 10-year pay plans. And Ferran Torres, for me, we sold him and we didn't need to sell him, and he got quite a nice. And now they're trying Bernardo Silva. Even we're playing a friendly against them 3 weeks into the season, and it's like I get our connection with them, but and then this summer in particular, I feel like they're holding up the whole of the transfer window. They're just holding. And I watched a really good video Matisse did, probably the best video I have seen all summer. The one with Alex, somebody or other, who's a Barcelona journalist, and they really broke down the Deco Laporte relationship and maybe how they're not interested remotely in Rafinha. This is ultimately to get Chelsea to pay more money to line Deco's pockets, and also to force Dembele to. Oh, Dembele gets worried that there's a right back coming in, so it takes a lesser weight. All made a lot of sense, and it just.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's a sensational video. For me, it's a bit of content creation that isn't during this transfer window where everything is our opinions. It was real knowledgeable stuff. So I recommend anyone goes and watches that. And yeah, for your owner to just get up and go, do you know what? This guy's taking the piss. Let me go to his city and speak to him face to face like a man. I rate it. I rate it. I rate it. And hopefully that opens everything up for everyone, and we all start getting some money. And yeah,
Yeah, I love how hands-on that he's been. I know that we don't have a sporting director or anything, and he's kind of taking on multiple roles, and it's not to be expected in the future. But I think that he's been handling business from what I've seen, impeccably. And yeah, I love like the jokes that people are making about it on Twitter as well. Like, oh yeah, that's it, have Barcelona pay for his dinner so that we put the price down or whatever. I'm gonna take a look at the chat, guys. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, of course, feel free to ask and we can go through them as well. Ty Talk says, is the transfer confirmed? And my answer is like 99% in my opinion. I won't say it's 100% until I see Chelsea tweet it out, but I think that the fee has been agreed, personal terms have been agreed. Medical has not been done yet. That's
so it won't be announced till Monday then, in that case.
Yeah. And I did see that Chelsea are going on their USA tour. I think it starts on Saturday, and they kind of wanted to get Sterling in before that to go with.
I mean, let me be clear. Raheem Sterling will pass a medical. The guy is very rarely injured, to be honest, so he will pass. Raheem Sterling in previous seasons has come back on a Friday from his summer off and started the Community Shield on the Sunday. That's how fit the guy is. Yeah, he's a specimen. So I can't see him failing a medical. I think that's just all. But usually medicals are on Friday. When medicals are on Fridays, usually doesn't get announced till Monday. But we will see.
Yeah, I think
I'm still shocked it's happening, to be honest.
I'm pretty shocked as well, because it's not a target that I necessarily like had in mind. But the more that I hear about it, kind of the more excited I get. Do you think that he's going to be one of the answers to this Chelsea side that has had an inconsistent attack, and that whoever we've been bringing in has kind of gone up and down? But I think even with Raheem Sterling, even though he hasn't had the best last 2 seasons, like you mentioned, not playing alongside an out and out number 9, he still hit double digits.
Oh, he still had good. Oh, he still had good seasons. Yeah, 100%. And anyone that says that he didn't start as much, he still. I've got the stats somewhere. He still started between, I think, every season for like the last 5 years. He started between 45 and 55 games. So, and even last season, when people said, you know, he was being pushed out a bit, he still started a lot of games. So, yeah, it just surprises me a little bit. It's interesting. Do you know what? There's a bit of me that hopes it happens, because that might then mean that we get another signing to get excited about.
I mean, you guys got Haaland. I mean, I don't know what's more exciting than that.
No, it's just there's this. Last season, we got to a point where maybe our squad was stretched at the end a little bit too much. Hold tight, Daniel. Love.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, there was it got to a point towards the end of the season where our squad was stretched that little bit too much. I think we sold Ferran Torres, didn't bring anyone in, and I felt like this summer we were gonna not only strengthen but also fill in some gaps, because despite what everyone wants to say about the size of our squad, last season our squad, I believe, for the top something like 10, it was the smallest squad, right?
Really?
And yeah, because a lot of our players were I think it's under 23s. So, and people won't, if you go and look at our bench in the last like 8 games, it was predominantly youth players on the bench. People will not believe it. But any City fans that are watching will back me up on this. Our squad, and if you Google it, you'll find out last season, our squad got that little bit too small, especially for a team that tries to challenge in all competitions. So Jesus gone, Fernandinho gone, Sterling gone, and we've brought in 3 players. It's kind of like, right, we haven't actually made our squad any bigger. It's the same size. If we sell him 45 with add-ons and manage to get Gnabry for about 35, I'd be very happy. And that's kind of whether it will or not, but still the Sterling one is a very, 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 the fact it's to you guys is just maybe a little bit close to home. Maybe.
Let's see. Let's see how it works out. I mean, I am hopeful that he'll kind of bring something to the attack. Something that I was talking about earlier is the fact that maybe after Aguero left, Sterling kind of felt this pressure to be the main goal scorer,
Yeah, definitely. I
and
think that.
maybe that affected his output as well. Do you think like making this move to Chelsea, it's not like a massive money move, it's not Lukaku for 100 million where you're paying loads of money for the player and you're like, you must score. But do you think that it's going to put pressure on him, kind of knowing that the rest of the attack has been inconsistent? Or maybe it could even go in the opposite direction, and maybe somebody like a Kai Havertz can say, okay, now I have somebody who does score, and that helps Kai Havertz to improve and takes like a weight off of his shoulders, and then
Yeah,
Kai Havertz improves more. What
that
do
could
you think?
happen. That could happen. I mean, generally Sterling's had pressure on him from the age of 16. Not just on the pitch, off the pitch as well. Even when you talk about racism, and that's something that he's fought a lot more than most. Well, not more than most, far too much, and far too many have to fight it. But the unique thing with Raheem Sterling is he never spoke on it. Never spoke on it. He had so much said about him that was wrong,
Mhm.
lies, and he never spoke on it. And then something came out about a young player in the team, racism, and Sterling stood up and took on everyone. And kind of when he was asked about it, he said, I'm a confident young black man. I love myself. My mum's raised me to love myself.
Wow.
And I'm that confident. I don't need to respond when they're saying that I bought a house for my mum that wasn't. Sorry, I bought a house after the World Cup when it wasn't for me. It's for my mum. They said I grew up in a rough area of London. I grew up in an area. To me, it wasn't rough. I played football. There's so much stuff that has been said about him, and he doesn't speak on it. He just gets on with doing his business. So I think he's confident. There's going to be pressure. 300 grand a week is pressure, but I think he's fine with pressure. It's just playing him in the right position.
That kind of Daniel put an interesting point into the chat. He said, I think Tuchel will give Sterling more freedom, which will suit his game more. What do you think about this?
Yeah, fair point. When he first arrived at City under Pellegrini, he commented when Pellegrini left that under Pellegrini he was a victim of two-touch football, and that everything was two-touch and it wasn't him. When Pep came in, as England had just had a bad Euros or World Cup and Sterling was a scapegoat, he came in. One of his first things was to ring Sterling and tell him, look, you're a major part of the team and I trust in you. And then took him, and I think he said, look, let's go back to basics. There's a few things Sterling spoke on. Firstly, don't overthink anything, right? Get to the byline, get the ball back, things like that. The other one that I'll always remember is you are going to win the ball back. You can run 10 yards forward and win the ball back, or 100 yards backwards and win the ball back, but you are going to win the ball back. But he kind of lifted the two-touch side of Sterling. Now, one thing that I do think is slightly underrated with Raheem Sterling is his passing ability. And the reason I say that is I'm not saying he's got a passing range like I don't know, De Bruyne or something like that. What I will say is that in his best years at Manchester City, I will always remember how well him and David Silva used to link up with 1-2s down the left-hand side. Very small 1-2s in tight spaces. And that shows me that he gets too much criticism of not being able to play good football. He can play football. Unfortunately, he's just not clinical in front of goal. That's the only thing with Raheem Sterling that is frustrating.
I was going to ask you what frustrations or what do you think his weaknesses are?
It's time. If Raheem Sterling has time on his hands, worry. And I honestly believe that if he threw on goal, one-on-one with the keeper, he's not going to score. If he has a penalty, often so many times Raheem Sterling's penalty will be saved. He'll then score the following, because he's kind of, oh, what do I do? But it's when he has too much time on his hands, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, sometimes he'll bend a goal into the top right corner but it's the frustrations of absolute sitters. Sometimes he'll miss it. But like I always use this analogy: if you have a friend of 20 years and they were crap with money 20 years ago, in 20 years' time, if you've lent them money and they're late paying you back, don't moan about it because you accepted it 20 years ago. It's the same with Raheem Sterling. He's never been that clinical person, and we accepted it because, God damn, without his goals and assists, we wouldn't have won several Premier Leagues. So it's frustrating. When you're at the games, you hear people moan about it, but it doesn't mean we're getting at him. It's just that's Raheem. Like, his numbers are his numbers. His numbers in 3 or 4 seasons were up there with the best in Europe. They really, really were. Like, his goal was 0.6 in per 90. His assists were about 0.5 in per 90, which is very, very high. So you can't take that away from the guy. Is he a Premier League legend? I think he is, based on what he has done, the amount of trophies he's won. So I just am so interested to see how you get him back to that, because Lukaku's gone, Tammy Abraham's gone. You've got Broja. Is Broja going to maybe? I mean, I don't know, but I do feel you need a striker to get the best out of him.
I think we need like somebody to come and back up. And I think the thing that that we still don't know, and there's like a lot of rumors going around, and it's still like kind of early in the window, is we don't know which attackers are going to be with Chelsea next season, because I've seen almost everybody aside from Havertz and Mount linked. I've seen Pulisic and Werner linked to Juventus, I think it was, Ziyech to AC Milan, I think, and it wouldn't surprise me.
I've seen Ziyech to AC's one that I think is pretty...
I think it could happen. I saw that it was a loan and not just like a straight sell, which could make the deal maybe a little bit easier to complete as well. And I think Ziyech would be keen to have more consistent game time and be playing basically week in, week out, which is something that he hasn't done at Chelsea. I really rate Ziyech as a player, but I just feel like the Premier League maybe was like a little bit too intense. But then he comes up with these moments of brilliance and just scores like a super crazy goal that curls, and you're like, oh, what would we do without Ziyech? But then
sometimes it comes to a time where players just need to leave a club because it's not quite working. It doesn't mean that the player isn't. I mean, Werner might be a prime example of it. I know Chelsea.
Wherever he goes,
Chelsea fans have stayed very loyal to him. Especially when I hear how much salary he's on. After his first season, I saw glimpses of what Werner could do, and I thought Werner and Lukaku could really cook. I thought, like, Lukaku holding the ball up, Werner running and making a run, but it obviously didn't work. And I do think for Werner needs to go. I don't think he's. I think with Raheem coming as well, I can't see Werner staying with Raheem coming, especially with the wages as well, to be fair. But one Chelsea player that I think gets not spoke about enough is Kovacic. I think Kovacic is an absolute baller.
He is a baller, and I think he would be like a contender for player of the season if he wasn't injured for such a large part of it.
You dropped off when he got injured.
Yeah, but he like when he plays, we look like a better team, basically. And I think that just the way that he links the defense and midfield, and he makes these driving runs. And then at the beginning of last season, he actually started adding goals and assists. And I was like, who is this? Who is this Kovacic? He never scores. But I think that he's super important. So if he can stay fit, that's going to be massive. And it's kind of like an interesting point that I like to make, is that Kovacic wasn't a starter for Real Madrid. Really, he was a bench player, and he came to Chelsea. And a lot of people are saying, "Oh, Raheem Sterling isn't a starter for Man City. Why are we taking like their bench players?"
He is, though. He is.
I'm sorry.
Raheem Sterling started something like 45 games for Manchester City last season.
Like,
I'm sure
mad.
Of it. Hold on, let me
pull up the stats. Pull them up.
Sorry about the banner, but let me just throw this up really quick.
No, no, no worries at all.
No, it is.
Oh, how'd you do that?
Right. So last season he played right. So this is exactly what I was saying. This is his goals and assists over all the seasons under Pep. So if you look, 47, 46, 51, 52, 49, 47 appearances. So that's off the bench as well, of course.
That's
You can do,
mad.
yeah.
Like
So when you look at,
a goal contribution every other game.
yeah, yeah. So that's playing with this when he was playing alongside Aguero. Look at the numbers; they're crazy. And then look at the drop off when he's not playing with the striker.
That's crazy.
But for people that say he's not a starter, this proves it. But you can take that down whenever you're ready now. But
This is super cool. I have no idea. You'll have to teach me backstage
yeah.
after we end how
Yeah.
you did this, because this was awesome.
So with any Manchester City player, I always say, when people say, "Oh, he's not a starter," who are Manchester City starters? Edison. You probably say Diaz, just about. You say Rodri. You say De Bruyne.
I would say Cancelo for the most
You
part.
would say Cancelo at the moment, but if we had a left back, Cancelo, Walker, which one starts? It's just we haven't had a left back. So when people say, but then you go, once you get to the midfield and the front three, no one can tell me. Bernardo Silva is one of the best players in world football, and he's not a starter for City, right? Foden's one of the best young players in the world. He's not start for Man City. We just bought Jack Grealish for 100 million. He's not start for Man City. So when people say Raheem Sterling's not a starter, no. When you play in 4 competitions, you get rotated, especially under Pep Guardiola. So you will struggle to find many players in Manchester City's side that are playing less than about 30 games a season. So to say he's not a starter, well, he's played 47 games, okay? So he isn't. Now, with Kovacic, do you know when you bought him the same season you bought Jorginho, didn't you?
I think so. I have a terrible memory for this. I'm
No,
not
it was
gonna
because
lie,
we
but I
we
think
wanted Jorginho, and because
yes,
of
I
Sarri
remember
coming to
that.
you,
Yeah. I
you got
totally
him,
forgot about that.
and then we got linked with Kovacic and Højbjerg, and Pep said he didn't want them because he wanted the Jorginho. That's what he wanted. And then the next summer he went out and got Rodri. And at the time I thought fair enough. But ever since then I've watched Kovacic, and he's really grown on me. Really, really grown on me. I think he's, for me, of him, Jorginho and
Conte?
Kante now, maybe not Kante in his prime. I think right now Kovacic is the best of the 3 this season.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, so
I would tend to agree. I love N'Golo Kante though, and I hope that he gets.
everyone does.
Everybody loves N'Golo Kante.
Yeah.
How could you not love N'Golo Kante
No.
realistically? Another question about Sterling that I just thought of, something that I've kind of been thinking about is the fact that Chelsea haven't won a Premier League in a while. I think it's 5 years. It's been a while, and I think that out of all of the players in Chelsea's squad, there's only, I think, 3 Premier League winners. Alonso, Aspie, and Conte. I think it's only them, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, which is kind
Maybe
of
Hudson-Odoi might have been floating about, maybe at best.
I think he was the next season. I
Right.
think.
Yeah.
Maybe I was thinking maybe Ruben was kind of floating around there as well. But how big do you think that that's going to be, given that he's won a ton of Premier Leagues with Man City, and that I think over the past couple of years, a lot of fans have kind of, I don't know, come to terms with the fact that City and Liverpool are just super far ahead, and Chelsea have done well in cup competitions, and we reached the FA Cup final like almost every year now, and we've done well in the Champions League. But the Premier League is something totally different, and instead of playing well over very specific cup games, you have to play well over 38 games in the entire year. A lot of it is every couple of days, every 3, every 4 days, and against sides that are difficult to break down. So how much do you think that that's going to impact Chelsea, maybe having somebody not only with experience, but with Premier League experience, and on top of that Premier League experience, winning the Premier League multiple times?
I think I was on with Deluded Guna earlier speaking about Jesus, and that was one of the things I listed with him. And he's won 4 Premier Leagues.
That's bad.
He's won 4 Premier Leagues. He's got experience of winning it, and that is relevant. Same with Raheem. He's won 4. I think 4 as well. Yeah, because I think he came in the season after Pellegrini won it. So yeah, he's won 4 as well. It's a winning mentality. I think the other thing is he knows how to play under a system as well. And Tuchel plays a system, and I think if there's going to be a change of system next season, then you need players that are used to playing in a system. And but the winning mentality, Sterling's a winner 100%. Like I said, he's a leader, a winner. He's such a like, we're even split on whether we need to replace him or not.
Yeah.
And the hardest thing, I think one of the hardest things Raheem Sterling will have faced this summer with this move is, do I stay and risk that I might not start much, but that if I do get a chance to play alongside Haaland, my numbers.
That's what I was going to say. That's why I was surprised, because if he plays better with a striker, Chelsea don't have like that out, and unless Thomas Tuchel has said, no, Kai Havertz, I'm grooming him to be a 9, like out and out 9. He's not going to be a false 9. Like, I really feel like he must have sold him some project, because if I'm Sterling, I think, well, I know what I can do next to a striker. Haaland is one of the most prolific up and coming strikers in the world, essentially. And like you said, I think a lot of players maybe are making moves this summer because of the World Cup in December, and they're trying to
definitely
make solidify their place in the team. But I don't think that Sterling needs to. I think it's already solidified. So
yeah, I think
that's something that was really interesting to me.
Yeah, what makes it more interesting is if it's for 300 grand a week. That's the thing that makes it more interesting to me, because it's like he hasn't gone for more money. He's gone for the same money. So what is it now? Someone did say to me, I didn't know this till speaking to someone the other day, after one of the games last year towards the end of the season, him and Pep had a falling out, apparently, because him and Pep have always had a very good relationship, and a bit of a falling out over, I don't know whether it was him not being used or him being pulled off or something, but I don't know. I don't know. It's there's so much. I did a show where I actually titled it Raheem Sterling to Chelsea, make it make sense, because from so many angles I wasn't getting it. And that's not to say that I'm saying why would you want him? I'm not saying why would he want to go to Chelsea? It just
What?
Sorry.
What?
Pep doesn't give him enough minutes. Yeah, but Pep 47 starts this season. The only other thing, 47 starts this season. I hear it. And maybe at his age, he feels like he should be cemented on. The only other thing, and this would mean that we don't go and buy somebody, is that Pep doesn't like playing wide left players, as in an actual fullback that plays on the left and gets down the wing. So when we used to have Mendy and Sane, we would never play them together. And that was when we had a number 9. So I don't know if maybe he feels we don't need as many wide players. I think the other thing is, it's quite simply that our board has been like, do you know what? He's going in a year. Let's try and get some money for him. And I'm just, honestly, I want to see what happens with him at your club. Do you think you'll get Ronaldo? Do you think you're even interested in Ronaldo?
Oh, that's a really interesting question. So from what I've kind of been, I read like a lot of articles, like The Athletic and The Telegraph, and
Athletic's top tier.
Yeah, top tier. And basically from everything that I've read and everything that I see on Twitter that I check daily, like Chelsea were never like, it wasn't that Chelsea went out and were like, oh, we want to target Ronaldo. It was more Cristiano wants to leave Manchester United, I think, because they don't have Champions League football. And he's kind of like, they're putting out feelers, and he's not going to go to City. He's not going to go to Liverpool. So if he wants to stay in the Premier League, And he's not going to go to Spurs. So if he wants to stay in the Premier League, he would have to go to Chelsea. And Chelsea, from what I've seen, basically have the means to do so and to be able to pay his salary and whatnot.
So his agent's done the same thing he did last year to
Yeah,
us.
basically.
Yeah, right.
And I think the thing with Ronaldo is that he's going to want a lot of money. I think he's on something crazy like 500,000 a week, something like that. And the other thing I saw is that I think United players take a 25% pay cut for not qualifying for the Champions League. I mean, that's still boatloads of cash to me, but
well, do you know what? My theory on that though is I think there's a lot of propaganda coming out of Man United to do with Ronaldo to try and make sure that he looks bad. Now, in my opinion, and again, I could be completely wrong, but I don't believe that when Cristiano Ronaldo and his team go to negotiate with any football club, whether it be Man United, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Chelsea, Man City, I don't believe that Ronaldo would walk in and go, oh, so everyone on this team gets a 25% reduction if we... And remember last season where everyone in this team is going to get a 25% reduction if we don't get in the Champions League, and go, well, yeah, I'm just like everyone else. This is Cristiano Ronaldo. He's not just going to go, oh, that's something everyone signs, so yeah, pass it here and I'll sign it as well. I think Ronaldo would be like, that gets removed from mine because I'm Cristiano Ronaldo. He's a brand, he's a business.
Yeah,
I
totally,
don't
totally.
Would you? If you're Cristiano Ronaldo, you wouldn't say, oh, well, if Rashford signed that, then yeah, cool, I'll sign the same thing as Rashford or the same thing as Harry Maguire. You wouldn't. You'd say, no, I'm Ronaldo. Remove that. If we don't get Champions League, you should pay me more money for the fact that I'm not in the Champions League.
Yeah.
Like for me. So I don't know if that's a bit of propaganda out of Man United for me.
But do you think that they want to try to get rid of him? Because from what I've seen, it's kind of like caused a divide among the players and in the dressing room. And it's kind of like, and would be like my hesitation with Ronaldo coming to Chelsea.
Definitely, yeah.
You know, he's Cristiano Ronaldo. Like, of course, he's one of the best players in the world. But with what Chelsea kind of need, what are you going to get out of Ronaldo? I don't know, 1 or 2 years, no resale value. And he's going to cost a lot of money in salary. And I don't know. For me personally, I would prefer to like go for the long term and say, okay, it's fine. I can miss out on his 20 goals a season for one season if it means that the team can build and gain some chemistry together, and it means that we're like involved in a project going forward. I know others don't necessarily feel like that. I'm not going to be complaining or anything if Ronaldo signs for Chelsea, but I just find it's like not really the type of player that we need right now.
Firstly, 101 likes, so salute to everyone, but don't stop. Keep hitting the like button. There's 155 of you, so that ratio should be a lot closer to 155. It helps the channel massively, so please just tap the like button once. Now, as for Ronaldo, someone said something to me, and I can't remember who it was now. And it's an interesting. Again, I love doing YouTube because you get to hear a lot of different opinions, and you can take them and do whatever you want with them, whether you believe them or not. Someone did say a very valid point, that if you've just bought a football club and you spent a lot of money on a football club, one of the quickest ways to recoup that money would be to get a player like Cristiano Ronaldo. And I'm not meaning on the pitch. I'm meaning
like shirt sales.
You're recouping a lot of money very quickly. For me, I don't think Tuchel will want Ronaldo. I don't think
and that's a good point, because what I did read was Bully was kind of like open to having conversations with his agent and kind of just seeing what was going to happen.
So was our board last year, but it never got as far as Pep.
He did say that if like Tuchel basically has complete veto power in this window, and that basically Tuchel can decide who he wants to join and who he doesn't, which I think is something important, because I don't know, I look at the Lukaku signing, that to me, knowing how Tuchel plays and knowing how Lukaku plays, that doesn't seem like a Tuchel signing to me. It seems like you're like, oh, well, Lukaku's available. We aren't scoring goals, so he scores goals. Let's try to bring him in and make it work. So I think if it's down to Tuchel, I would be really surprised if Chelsea signed.
So would I. I think what you were doing before what you were doing under Roman, especially last season, I would say, and maybe since the transfer window where you couldn't buy anyone, it was to try and appease the fans a little bit. And I think you know the fans were screaming for Haaland so badly, and maybe when he realised Haaland wasn't going to come, and I'll be honest, when Lukaku was in the form he was in Italy, I was like, I'm not mad if we get Lukaku. I'm
Yeah,
not mad
no,
at that.
same.
Oh,
I thought the same
100%.
with the
He would look
signing.
really good.
Yeah.
And you know, that was. I mean, what happened there? I do not know. That was a very weird one. Him and Tuchel clearly would never a match made in heaven.
Yeah, I don't know what happened behind the
But
scenes there, but
I do feel like your owner will be trying to, at least for now, Tuchel, what do you want? What do you need? Let's change the style of football. Let's get the fans back in love with the club after everything that's happened. And I don't think Ronaldo will be. The only thing that's valid, the only reason I say it is when somebody said, if you want to recoup money because you've just bought something, going and buying someone like Ronaldo, yeah, I get it. You would recoup money straight away. And you need a striker. I'll keep saying it. You need a striker. You need a striker.
I don't know where Kai plays then. Like potentially on the right. I don't know. We've seen him play there before, but
I mean, he might think he could turn Kai into a striker. I mean, he I hate to say it,
I
and
don't know.
Daniel, you'll agree with me. I mean, scored quite an important and good goal in the in a certain game that we
Yes,
won't talk on.
sorry all the City fans that that are watching this. When that happened, my heart was racing. I was like, please, please, please go in. Please don't be offsides. Now I don't celebrate anything because
No,
I'm
me neither. You can't.
terrified that it's going to be called offside.
If you can
So
imagine what I was like on the last day of the season at the Etihad,
oh my god, oh my god, that
every
was one
goal.
of the most dramatic ends of the season that I think I've ever witnessed. That was crazy to go 2-0 down against what was it, Aston Villa.
Yeah.
That was
Listen,
mad. That was mad.
at the end of the first half, not the end of the first half, when they scored their first goal, I think it was, I got up and I just went out, and there was still like probably about 7 or 8 minutes left in the first half. I just went out, got a pie, and sat by myself. I was just thinking, it was more the fact that Liverpool were going to win it. And then when they scored the second, I was just, and I was looking at my phone, and I've been looking at my phone from the start. And the guy next to me to check the Liverpool scores kept saying, "Don't worry about that. We don't need them. We don't need them. We don't need them." When we went 2-0 down, I was looking at my phone, and he goes, "I told you, don't look at your phone. We don't need their result." And I said, "Mate, we're 2-0 down, right? We need their result." Yeah. He goes, "We don't need them." And then the strangest thing happens, right? Back the season we beat Liverpool to the league before, in the last 10 games, before every game, I'd say to my little daughter, who was probably then about 3, Man City are playing today. And she'd go, "Good luck, Man City." And we won all the games. And I'd said the day before I went to Manchester for the final game this time, I said, "Kiana, I need you to do what you used to do. Man City are playing." And she said it again. No, she said it again. However, when we were 2-0 down, before the game, I'd got a voice note from my daughter and I hadn't opened it. When we were 2-0 down, I opened it and heard, "Good luck, Manchester City." We scored 2 minutes later, and then we scored again, and then we scored again.
Way.
And it was like, and it only dawned on me when I was doing a podcast two days later that, oh my God. But yeah, I have never felt like I was about to have a heart attack for 8 minutes. And that is what that was like. It was just absolutely insane. Insane.
I was happy that City won because after
of course, Liverpool, no one wants Liverpool to win nothing.
Yeah, they beat us 2 times in the cup this season.
I mean, technically they beat you, but you know it's penalties. So
it was on penalties, so it counts. But it's like they didn't score against us, so you know, at the time it gets the penalties, it kind of goes either way, and that's how I console myself about it.
Yeah. Oh, I can't stand Liverpool. I hate them. Hate them more than United. I hate them. I can't stand them.
It was like so painful for me after the FA Cup final because I was doing some work for Chelsea, and I had to record like a match review, like a match reaction after the game, and I was just like tried to record it, and all of the Liverpool fans were like coming in my face and chanting, and I was like, I'm just trying to record like a video, please, like just let me be.
Oh no, not Liverpool fans. Liverpool fans are always well
It
behaved.
was mad, and they
Always
keep
well
in my
behaved Liverpool
face. I was like,
fans.
why are you in my face right now?
Oh,
I don't understand.
don't get me started on Liverpool fans. I know Chelsea fans and Liverpool fans don't see eye to eye either. So it's one of the few things City and Chelsea fans can agree on: their hate for Liverpool. Can't stand them. Can't stand them.
I'll just get to a couple more questions, guys, before we close it out. Owen kind of asked an interesting one that I haven't personally thought about. Who do you think is going to wear the number 9 shirt next season? And I have no clue because we don't really have anybody who's playing a striker, and I think Kai has kind of made the 29 his own. So I don't think that we're. I don't know. Maybe we won't see it. Maybe we won't see the number 9 next season, and we'll do well. I don't know.
So just quickly to Anfield Reds, there we go. The lovely Liverpool fans have appeared in the comments. Who says you're a fake City fan if you hate Liverpool more than United? No, you're not. If you know, Mancunians do not like Scousers, right? Admittedly, a lot of Mancunians hate Man United more than they hate Liverpool. However, my dad, who is a Manc born and bred, couldn't stand Scousers. So that is why I've just followed in my dad's footsteps. That is all it is. You know what? Not all Scousers. I actually get on. Listen, my brother-in-law is actually a Scouser. My sister went and rebelled, clearly. But yeah. I was just thinking, what number, Daniel, if you're still watching, what number is Sterling?
Yeah, I don't know. Daniel is still here. So Daniel, if
what
you know.
What number is Sterling? I don't know. But the fact that there is a number 9 available, will you go and buy a number 9?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Like 7, yeah, 7.
Defenders, especially because Boli met, in Barcelona today. I'm thinking they discussed Alonso and Azpilicueta. I'm sure, and probably some other stuff. I saw that we're trying
Rafinha.
to kind of hijack, Rafinha, the De Jong transfer as well.
Really? I'd love that. I'm not gonna lie, I'd love that.
Don't know how in depth it is. Daniel says number 7, not number 9, but obviously N'Golo Kante.
Yeah, that's true. Brozier might get number 9. To be fair,
yeah, he might. I think if he is okay, maybe taking, like, not playing week in, week out. I think there are going to be enough games, and we don't have really anybody to provide that cover. Like, we don't have a player like him, and I thought that he was super good for Southampton and didn't have so many opportunities as well.
I mean, this is the thing. I start to ask Matisse a lot of things about Chelsea because I respect his opinion, and I said to him, "Is Brozier the one?" He was like, "Nah, not for me, not for me." I think Tammy.
Still young.
I think Tammy Abraham and Raheem Sterling could have worked. But
yeah, that's the thing. Somebody asked me today, do Chelsea have a buyback clause for Tammy Abraham? I didn't know. So guys, if anybody in the comments happens to know if Chelsea have a buyback, I'm not sure because I feel like we should have a buyback, but it wouldn't surprise me if we just sold him straight to Roma. I really rated Tammy Abraham and I was super gutted when he left. But I think he would probably be happy to return to Chelsea. He's like a Chelsea boy and went through the academy and everything. But I was surprised.
Sorry, the last thing to speak on as well is Will Gallagher. What's your opinion? Will Gallagher start next season?
For Chelsea?
For Chelsea.
I think he stays at Chelsea. I think the World Cup is going to play a big part because he's kind of like on the cusp that he's had some call-ups, but he's not guaranteed. But I think that his last season was very good. And if he wants to maybe push for his spot a little bit more, maybe we see him go out on another loan. But personally, I would love to have Conor Gallagher back in the team. And I think we might sell Jorginho this season because I think he wants to return to Italy. And not that they really play in the same position. I think Conor Gallagher plays a bit higher up the pitch, but kind of.
So someone said about Gilmore there, that
80 million buyback after 2 years. It's been 1 year, right? I think it's been 1 year.
So with Gallagher, better than Gilmore. I agree with that, but they're different. They're kind of different roles.
They are
But
different, yeah.
I guess the hardest thing for Gallagher is that's something that straight away you're looking at in that role. Kante, Jorginho.
It's a little too far back on the pitch, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Maybe
that's why I think like
interesting
their
if he goes out on
DM
a loan.
is super important, because then you can play like whoever's the DM is, and then like Mason and Conor Gallagher. I think maybe it's a little open, and Kovacic can play there as well. But I don't think we're signing.
Do you know what? I don't know if to switch from a 3 at the back to 2 at the back with 2 DMs, and the DMs being Gallagher and Mount, might leave all in one season, might leave you a little bit.
No, I don't think. I think it would be like the way I was thinking about it is like
someone behind them, and then them
yeah,
two.
yeah, and
Right,
then
so
the
6
DM
and
can
2
kind of,
8s. Yeah, 6 and 2 8s.
yeah. But I don't know. Let's see. I think that the defenders, like I've kind of said, are the main priority, because we don't really have. I think Alonso's going. I don't know if I think Emerson's coming back, but I don't know if he wants to probably leave as well. Don't know how much of a priority that is. But Ben Chilwell obviously is coming back. Well, he made his first appearance in the last couple of minutes of the last game of the season, which I was super happy about. But he's coming back from that terrible injury.
Oh, he's huge. He's. I do think.
I love Chile.
I do think. So last season, the summer, your fan base, also the fact you beat us 3 times in a very short space of time, one of which was a certain game we won't talk on, and then your fan base through the summer, they convinced the whole of England that Chelsea were going to win the league, right? You started the season very well. And I remember going on.
But keep in mind, we had just won the Champions League.
No, you had. No, and like I said, and as a City fan, you beat us 3 times. So not just in that, you beat us 3 times on the bounce.
Yeah.
Under Tuchel. And then your fan base kind of convinced us all that you had 2 or 3 players in every position, and that the league was that Lukaku was a missing piece, and it was. And you started the season with that form, and even to the point where I went on the football terrace before we played you. And at that point, I think it was you and Liverpool. I think it was you, then Liverpool, then us. And our form wasn't, we dropped 1 or 2 points. And I got asked kind of, do I think that City are going to challenge this season? And I said, looking at it right now, I can't see where Chelsea and Liverpool drop points this season, right? And I'm looking at City, and I think we are going to drop more points this season. But it's football, and if we win tomorrow against Chelsea, their form's going to dip away, and all of a sudden their form could dip away and our form could pick up. The Chilwell injury, I kind of want to say it was so important, but at the same time, I don't want to say that lost you the league, but it was very, very, very important, because the cover there was Alonso was dog shit.
Yeah, there were so many things like I've been talking about on my channel, like for the entirety of the season. But I think it's no surprise that Chelsea beat Juventus 4-0. In that game, Ben Chilwell gets injured, and then they go on to have a really, really rough patch of form because Marcos Alonso is not Ben Chilwell. And Marcos Alonso has done a lot for the club. He scored some important goals, but going forward and defending, Ben Chilwell is a better player, in my opinion. I mean, there was a lot of things that went wrong. The Lukaku interview of like basically all of our team falling to COVID or getting injured, and we had like a very scarce squad and had to still play the Christmas fixtures, the takeover. Like there was a lot of shit, but Ben Chilwell, I think, was massive. And Reece James was injured for like 3 or 4 months.
Yeah, he was injured for a period as well. Yeah. So, but I think Chile was. I mean, I've said on 1 or 2 shows. I think not only did Chelsea need Chilwell back, but I think in the last couple of games we've seen it for England. We need him back desperately for England as well, because we're playing Trippier on the left. I rate Chilwell. I think Chilwell's one of the best left backs in the Premier League.
Yeah, I remember when we were going for him, like people were like kind of comparing him with Telles and Tagliafico, and
Telles.
Yeah. Like those were like the three names that we were linked to, and people said, "Oh, I don't know about Ben Chilwell, like from Leicester, blah blah blah." He's been fantastic, and not only is he a fantastic footballer, he also seems like the nicest guy, which is like big points for me
Yeah,
as
yeah.
well. Last question, or kind of two questions for you
Hmm.
to wrap up this Raheem Sterling special. Um, Rate this transfer on a scale of 1 to 10 for Chelsea. And do you think that this transfer helps Chelsea close the gap between Liverpool and City?
Currently, it's a 6 out of 10.
Okay.
You get a number 9. Is that harsh?
That's a little low. I don't know.
Yeah, but that's because I'm waiting to get a number 9 and then it rises. All right, I'm going to say it's a 7 out of 10, and it could rise to an 8.5 or a 9 out of 10 if you get a striker. Does it close the gap? If nah, not enough.
Yeah. And
You
that's
need a
kind
lot
of,
more. For me, you need a lot more signings. I think you need
and I
about
think,
probably another 5 players.
yeah, I think we need time. And a lot of Chelsea fans, I think, are keen, of course, to win the league. And it's kind of like, oh, we haven't won the league in forever. Like this is a failure. We're not winning the league. Man City and Liverpool have dominated for like the past
Man
5.
City dominated.
Yeah. Well, Man City dominated, but Liverpool have at least challenged and been within a point or two of the league. We've been within like 20 points, and that's like the big difference. I think
Yeah,
that
yeah.
Liverpool can kind of go toe to toe with City. They did win the league at least once within the past 5 years.
Once.
Yeah, and Chelsea have been super far off of that. We've been
Yeah,
super far
yeah.
off,
It
and
surprised
it's
me actually how long ago it was that you. I think the
yeah,
last time you won
5
it was
years
Pep's
ago.
first season, right?
I think at 2016, 17, I
Yeah,
think.
Pep's
And
first season it
Antonio
was. Yeah,
Conte's first season. Yeah.
yeah.
Or was it 15,
It was
16? Maybe. I think it was
It was
15,
Pep's first
16.
season.
I
No, I
don't
think
know.
it was 16, 17. It was 16,
16, 17.
17.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think it
yeah.
was 16,
Pep's
17.
first season. Yeah,
Yeah, because the Jose Mourinho terrible season was 15, 16, I think.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. God, that
So
was a meltdown.
that was just depressing. I remember turning on the games and we just lost. I was like, oh my God, this is
Yeah.
difficult. But yeah, I think that is kind of where we're at. I don't expect us to close the gap between City and Liverpool in one season. I think
No.
like they've been so dominant for so many seasons, it's going to take more than one season to catch up to them.
Yeah.
But MCFC Daps, thank you so
No
freaking
problem.
much
Enjoyed it.
for coming on. I really enjoyed our conversation.
Same.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you to everybody who's watching. There were a lot of people, which makes me super happy. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to follow MCFC Devs. Make sure to follow Never a Foul. Sub to the channel as well. Sub to
And
my
can I?
channel.
So
Yeah.
sorry, and just to say now, there is a show right now on Never a Foul. It's a fan phone in, and just to be clear, Never a Foul is not a Manchester City channel. It's a generic channel. We cover all clubs, and there's a show right now. It's a phone in. It's going on already. I'm going to jump over there in a minute, so it'd be great to see all of you over there. And thanks for being good, because sometimes comments are not so nice, but today they've been pretty all right. So,
Yeah.
and you've been a great host. So I really enjoyed it. And
Thank you.
look after Raheem. Listen, look after Raheem for us.
We will. We will. So guys, make sure to check that out. Obviously, you'll have all of the links in the description down below as well. And yeah, I hope that you've enjoyed it. If you did, sub to the channel. There's plenty of content coming up, and I'm super excited about it. And yeah, have a great rest of your evening if you're in the UK, night if you're in the US, or if you're watching this back, whatever time you're watching it. Thank you for tuning in. And until next time, I'm out. Bye.